Gil, I mean, I remember walking out and CJ, the producer of the show, he's like, Shannon, this is gonna blow up the internet.
And that the was about handcuffs, choking, putting on dog collars. Do you get those at Peck?
The public spotlight is brutal, unrelenting, and often unfair. It's a stage where admiration can turn to disdain in the blink of an eye, where applause can morph into whispers of judgment. And Shannon Sharpe is now center stage in a drama that no one saw coming. Or maybe some did. The details surrounding this spiraling scandal are as shocking as they are uncomfortable, and the deeper you dig, the murkier everything gets. What started as a promising post-sports career in media has unraveled into a chaotic storm of accusations, controversial revelations, and one man's very public fight to salvage his reputation. But is this all really as simple as one man's mistakes catching up to him? Or is there more at play? A darker, more calculated takedown happening behind the scenes?
Alrighty, y'all. So the Shannon Sharpe ESPN does he still keep his job conversation is beginning to, I was going to say beginning to happen, but it's been happening, but I think now it's beginning to get louder because of different things that Attorney Busby has released, including the audios. So right now the conversation is, why is Shannon Sharpe still able to be...
First, let's address the elephant in the room, the lawsuit. Shannon Sharpe, once a celebrated NFL legend and a rising star in sports media, is now facing a legal battle that could cost him everything. The accusations are staggering. A young woman, an OnlyFans creator, no less, has come forward with claims that read like the stuff of nightmares. Allegations of manipulation, threats, and disturbing behavior have been thrown into the public arena. This isn't just a slap on the wrist or some minor scandal that can be brushed under the rug. We're talking about claims that could dismantle someone's career, tarnish their legacy, and alter public perception forever. And here's the kicker. Sharpe isn't denying the relationship. In fact, he's leaning into a defense that's raising more questions than it's answering.
But it just took off.
Yeah.
And everybody they were just shaking their head. I was like, what? They're like, Shannon, this is gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
Sharpe's team insists the relationship was consensual, portraying it as an adult agreement between two people. But then came the texts. Explicit, cringe-inducing messages that Sharpe himself released, perhaps in an effort to control the narrative. Instead, they set social media ablaze. These weren't just any messages. They painted a picture of a man engaging in something many found deeply unsettling: race play. Yes, you heard that right. The text revealed a dynamic that not only blurred ethical lines, but obliterated them. A 54-year-old man exchanging messages with a 19-year-old, where racial degradation became part of their interactions. The sheer optics of it, an older black man entertaining such a dynamic with a young white woman, left even his most loyal fans reeling. If Sharpe intended to clear his name by sharing this, it backfired spectacularly.
On Easter Sunday, a lawsuit was filed in state court in Nevada against Hall of Fame tight end Shannon Sharpe because he has become such a massive media star, especially in the past few years. The lawsuit is going to attract.
And let's not forget the context. This wasn't just a private matter that spiraled into the public eye. This lawsuit dropped like a bomb just as Sharpe was reportedly on the verge of signing a monumental media deal worth 9 figures. The timing is more than suspicious. It's impossible to ignore. Was this lawsuit genuinely about seeking justice, or was it a well-calculated move to hit Sharpe where it hurts most? His wallet, and his image. The woman filing the suit isn't just any accuser. She's represented by Tony Busby, a name that sends chills down the spines of high-profile figures. Busby has built a reputation as a relentless attorney, someone who thrives on taking down powerful men in entertainment and sports. Diddy, Jay-Z, now Shannon Sharpe. The pattern is undeniable, and Sharpe isn't holding back in pointing it out.
But a lot of the stuff he was saying, because I don't live in that world. People think because, oh, Shannon, you live in Hollywood, you have that. You must have heard. You must have been. No, bro.
In a fiery video statement, Sharpe called the lawsuit exactly what he believes it to be: a shakedown. His words were raw, unfiltered, and filled with a palpable frustration. He accused Busby of targeting him for being a prominent black man in the public eye, suggesting that this is bigger than just one case. And sure, you could argue that this is the classic defense of a man under fire: deflect, deny, and double down. But what if he's not entirely wrong? What if there's a grain of truth in what he's saying? It wouldn't be the first time the industry has turned on one of its own, using their mistakes as ammunition for a takedown orchestrated by those in power.
It's a claim against someone alleging that some rights were violated, and In most cases, what's sought is compensation in the form of damages to make up for whatever it is the person did. And there are all sorts of civil lawsuits, car accidents, defamation. We hear about that a lot because people get sued about things that are said about them in media.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we entertain the conspiracy theories, we need to unpack the layers of this lawsuit. The accusations are as detailed as they are disturbing. The plaintiff claims that Sharpe's behavior escalated from controlling to downright terrifying as their relationship progressed. She alleges that he showed up uninvited to her apartment complex, gaining access without her knowledge. The idea of someone with Sharpe's stature and resources using them to invade someone's personal space is chilling. Then there's the alleged incident where she claims he physically restrained her during an argument, a moment that reportedly left her fearing for her safety. These aren't just accusations of poor judgment, they're claims of actions that, if proven true, could end more than just a career.
His attorney offered that up publicly. To me, her turning it down shows that it's not a money grab.
No, it shows that it's a bigger shakedown.
And yet Sharpe's defense team isn't cowering in the face of these allegations. They've come out swinging, calling the lawsuit a blatant cash grab. They've accused the plaintiff of editing audio recordings to distort the truth and have even gone so far as to reveal her real identity, a move that has sparked its own wave of backlash. By naming her, Sharpe has opened the door to a narrative that paints her as an opportunist, someone using her online persona to weaponize public sympathy against him. But was this the right move? If anything, it's only added fuel to the fire, with critics accusing him of attempting to intimidate his accuser and discredit her claims before they even reach a courtroom. And then there's Katt Williams, the comedian who somehow seems to have predicted all of this months ago. Williams has been vocal about the pitfalls of fame, especially for Black men navigating industries designed to exploit their vulnerabilities. His warnings to Sharpe weren't vague or sugar-coated. He told him to clean up his act, to stop surrounding himself with people who could potentially flip the script on him, and yet Sharpe didn't listen. Instead, he laughed it off, dismissing Williams' advice as overly cautious or paranoid. But now, as the accusations pile up and his reputation hangs by a thread, Williams' words feel less like advice and more like prophecy.
You decide whether or not you believe him. Was it tough hearing some of the things that he was saying? Yes, because I have a personal relationship with Earthquake. I've had Steve Harvey on the show.
What's perhaps most unsettling is how this scandal seems to align with a pattern in Sharpe's history. This isn't the first time his name has been tied to controversy. Reports of past incidents, including one involving a production assistant and another tied to a restraining order, have resurfaced. While none of these prior claims reach the level of public scrutiny we're seeing now, they paint a picture of a man who has walked the edge of controversy before. Are these isolated incidents, or do they hint at a deeper issue that's only now coming to light?
Like the Deshaun Watson cases where there were 20 plus plaintiffs and they weren't really sure who the people were who were making the claims. In this case, Shannon Sharpe knows exactly who it is because there had been, and it's clear from the statement issued by his lawyer, Lanny Davis, there had been some pre-litigation efforts to try to resolve this.
And yet, for all the noise, all the finger-pointing and speculation, the core question remains. Is Shannon Sharpe a victim of a targeted takedown, or is this the inevitable result of a man's poor choices catching up with him? On one side, you have a high-profile figure insisting he's being blackmailed, claiming the lawsuit is nothing more than a smear campaign designed to derail his success. On the other, you have detailed accusations that paint a much darker picture, one that's hard to dismiss outright. Both narratives are compelling, and both have their flaws. What's clear is that this is far from over. The allegations, the countersuits, the media frenzy, it's all building towards something. And whatever that something is, it's bound to leave a lasting impact on everyone involved.
And I don't want to get too far in it, but anyway, it was the person told a lie.
And just like that, the web tightens. As Shannon Sharpe's world crumbles in public view, the shadows around this scandal seem to grow darker and more intricate. Every new detail leaks like a crack in a dam, sending waves of speculation and outrage surging through the public consciousness. This isn't just a lawsuit anymore. It's a spectacle, a slow-motion implosion where the lines between victim, villain, and opportunist blur with each passing day. And yet, somehow, the most jaw-dropping revelations are still to come. Take the timing of this lawsuit, for instance. It didn't just appear out of thin air. The moment it dropped, it became impossible to ignore how perfectly it aligned with the peak of Sharpe's media stardom. Months of buzz about a groundbreaking media deal, a contract that could have cemented his legacy and placed him among the top earners in sports media, were abruptly drowned out by accusations designed to obliterate his credibility. Coincidence? Maybe, but when you consider the players involved, it starts to feel more like a chessboard, where every move was calculated well before the first pawn fell.
Clause, I'm taking him at his word because I wouldn't know that. Nobody has ever heard that before. I'm thinking that's truth because he's on the...
Enter Tony Busby, the legal bulldog who's made a career out of targeting high-profile men and dragging their darkest secrets into the light. This isn't just a lawyer, this is a man who thrives on spectacle and controversy. Someone who knows how to weaponize public opinion like few others can. And while Sharpe's team has been quick to paint Busby as a mercenary for hire, there's no denying his track record. From professional athletes to music moguls, Busby's list of targets reads like a who's who of Black celebrity culture. But what's his endgame here? Is it justice, as he claims, or a well-disguised power play aimed at sending a message to anyone who dares to step out of line in the entertainment and sports industries? Sharpe's camp, for its part, isn't sitting quietly. They've accused Busby of orchestrating a smear campaign, claiming that he's less interested in the truth and more focused on leveraging this lawsuit for maximum media impact. And let's not forget the ominous mention of a video footage that Busby's team is reportedly holding onto like a trump card, ready to release at just the right moment to inflict maximum damage. According to Sharpe's lawyer, this clip is nothing more than a consensual interaction twisted into a narrative designed to ruin him. But the very existence of such a video, paired with the fact that Sharpe's team has acknowledged offering a massive settlement to make it all go away, raises questions that are impossible to ignore. If the clip is so innocuous, why offer to pay to bury it? And if it's not, what could it possibly reveal that's worse than what we already know?
But people different now.
Yeah.
And people try to make more out of situations than what it is.
And then there's Gabriela Zinga, the woman at the center of this chaos. Publicly unmasked by Sharpe's legal team, she's become a polarizing figure overnight. Her online persona as She Is Carly has only added fuel to the fire, with critics accusing her of using her platform to play into stereotypes and manipulate public sympathy. But is she really the calculated opportunist Sharpe's team wants us to believe she is? Or is she someone who found herself in too deep with a man whose power and influence made it impossible for her to walk away unscathed? The truth, as always, is likely somewhere in the messy middle. But in the court of public opinion, nuance rarely survives.
That's how we found out about the lawsuit against Shannon Sharpe. Now, this one has some very strong allegations: sexual assault, sexual battery, assault and battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress. The sexual components obviously give it greater gravity than a car accident or any case based on some sort of negligent slip and fall, something like that, where someone was just being careless.
What's especially striking is how this scandal has reignited conversations about power dynamics, exploitation, and accountability in industries that thrive on appearances. Sharpe's actions, whether you see them as reckless or calculated, have exposed an ugly underbelly of fame that rarely sees the light of day. His relationship with Zinga, with its glaring age gap and disturbing racial undertones, has forced fans to confront uncomfortable questions about what we're willing to tolerate from our idols. And while some have rushed to his defense, arguing that his private life is his business, others have drawn a hard line, saying that someone in his position should have known better. After all, it's one thing to make mistakes, it's another to hand your enemies the ammunition they need to destroy you.
Because I got Club Shay,
Right,
and I've
right.
almost got 3 million subs.
Right.
And ever since that Katt Williams, a
Yeah.
lot of mofos been treating your boy different.
What?
What's even more startling is the way social media has become a battleground in this scandal, amplifying every misstep and accusation to deafening levels. Sharpe's own decision to take the fight public, dropping Zinga's real identity and accusing her of orchestrating a setup, has sparked a firestorm online. Supporters and critics alike have dissected every post, every comment, and every piece of leaked evidence, turning platforms like Instagram and Twitter into a digital courtroom. But here's the twist. While some corners of the internet have rallied behind Sharpe, painting him as a victim of a modern-day witch hunt, others have doubled down on the narrative that his actions reflect a deeper moral failing. It's chaos, pure and simple. And for someone who built their post-football career on charisma and likability, it's hard to imagine a more damaging turn of events. And then there's the issue of power. Who holds it, who abuses it, and who ultimately pays the price? Zinga's accusations, regardless of where the truth lies, have reignited debates about the imbalance of power in relationships like this one. Critics argue that someone of Sharpe's stature, with his wealth, influence, and decades of life experience, should have exercised better judgment when engaging with a young woman barely out of her teens. The optics alone, they say, are damning, creating an uncomfortable dynamic that's impossible to ignore. But on the flip side, Sharpe's defenders point to Zynga's own choices, her public persona, and her ties to a high-profile attorney as signs that she's not as powerless as she claims. It's an argument that has split the public right down the middle, turning what should be a straightforward case into an endless tug-of-war over who really holds the upper hand.
Are now beginning to bring up past things that have happened with Shannon Sharpe, including a temporary restraining order that was filed against him back in 2010 from a woman that he was dealing with at the time, who accused him of sexual assault. He said in different things. Now, this was dropped. It was dismissed, that restraining order.
But here's where things get even murkier. As if the lawsuit and the leaked text weren't enough, new allegations from Sharpe's past have begun to resurface, painting an even darker picture of a man whose public persona has long been at odds with the whispers that have followed him for years. From workplace incidents that were quietly settled to accusations that never made it to court but lingered in the background like a bad smell, it's clear that this isn't the first time Sharpe's behavior has been called into question. And while his defenders argue that these resurfaced claims are nothing more than opportunistic attempts to pile on, the sheer volume of them has raised eyebrows. Is this a case of smoke without fire? Or are we finally seeing the full scope of a pattern that's been hidden in plain sight? And let's not forget the industry itself. Hollywood, sports media, and entertainment as a whole have a long and sordid history of protecting their own. Until they don't. When someone becomes more trouble than they're worth, the same system that once shielded them can turn against them with ruthless efficiency. And that's exactly what some are saying is happening to Sharpe now. By giving a platform to outspoken figures like Katt Williams and Monique, both of whom have made a career out of exposing the industry's dirty secrets, Sharpe may have crossed an invisible line. Was this lawsuit the industry's way of reining him in, a warning shot to remind him of his place? Or simply a convenient opportunity to take down a man who had grown too big for his britches?
We're in an interesting game.
We are.
Hey, 58 million views though.
Oh yeah. Almost 58 million views.
Yeah.
And speaking of Williams, his role in this saga can't be overstated. His warnings to Sharpe, once dismissed as the ramblings of a man embittered by his own battles with the industry, now read like a playbook for everything that's unfolded. The timing of Williams' comments, paired with the eerie accuracy of his predictions, has only added to his mystique as a figure who sees the game for what it is. But even Williams has hinted that he held back during his now infamous interview with Sharpe. What else does he know? And why hasn't he said it yet? The mere suggestion that he could drop more bombshells has fans and critics alike waiting with bated breath, wondering if the next revelation will be the one that finally brings the house down. For now, though, the questions far outweigh the answers. What's on that video BuzzBee's team is holding? How deep do the allegations against Sharpe really go? And perhaps most importantly, is this truly about justice, or is it about control? About reminding everyone watching that no one, no matter how rich or famous, is untouchable. One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. The stakes are higher than ever, the players more ruthless, and the fallout more unpredictable. So buckle up, because if you thought this was messy already, just wait. This ride is only getting started. But what do you think? Is Shannon Sharpe the victim of an orchestrated takedown, or has he dug his own grave with years of reckless behavior? And what about Katt Williams? Does he know more than he's letting on? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, stay tuned, because trust us, this story isn't slowing down anytime soon.